And we are following breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. UFC star Jon Jones arrested in Vegas. This happening less than 24 hours after one of his fights was actually inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. According to reports, Jones being charged with misdemeanor battery, domestic violence, injuring or tampering with a vehicle. Jones just this week saying he was aiming a return to UFC, but this time in the heavyweight division. So welcome to the host of the Morning Combat Podcast, Brian Campbell, to talk about what this means for Jones's potential future when it comes to UFC. UFC has yet to respond. Obviously, the details of this are being kept a little bit under wraps as of right now. But when it comes to Jones returning to the octagon, what do you think is going to happen now?
It's going to be very interesting, and a lot of pressure obviously put on the UFC, which in the past has kept a very, let's say, long leash when it comes to disciplinary actions, although Jones has been stripped of some form of his UFC title a record 3 times. Look, we have a pattern development here for Jon Jones, and obviously the last 24 hours, a microcosm of his great career, meaning he was at that podium in Las Vegas getting his 2013 fight against Alexander Gustafsson inducted into the fight wing of the Hall of Fame, and just hours later arrested once again. Jon Jones is this interesting, somewhat sad and unique career arc in which he's the recognized greatest fighter of all time, but also one of the sport's most tragic figures, and a tragic story in many ways when we consider, although we haven't seen him since February of 2020 in the octagon, that was a month before his most recent big-time arrest in Albuquerque for DWI, firing a handgun, and multiple other offenses. Of course, in 2015, he was stripped of his title in a felony hit-and-run arrest, and he's had plenty of issues on the drug testing side and also the misdemeanor side with the law. This puts pressure on the UFC to carry through and not just treat Jon Jones as a pay-per-view draw, and obviously his return impending, which he was hoping would be in 2022 at the heavyweight division after bulking up in weight, would bring high expectations, probably a title fight upon entering in. Now it's going to be interesting to see whether the UFC lets the law decide that or whether they take matters into their own hands.
Host of the Morning Combat Podcast, Brian Campbell, thank you so much there for giving us an insight. Obviously, we'll see how this plays out in the court, and then we'll see how UFC decides to handle it as well. You can hear much more from our good friend Brian Campbell. Also, his partner there, Luke Thomas, on the Morning Combat Podcast. Everything you need to know about the world of fighting, make sure to download and follow.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.